I'm back on. I don't know if it's a different stream now. There we go, 2 watching. Is this the one that's actually on now? Oh, man. There. Right, I'm back on. So sorry about that. Out of nowhere, the games just kicked me out completely. You know, one of those send error reports type things, but it's let me back in the session. But yeah, I've had a stinker. It dropped out just at the back end when the big laps were on. Anyway, Waitsy has gone in first. Steiny has put himself into second. McConey in third. Lol Not Jack is in fourth. The Real DC fifth. IRT DeRoy in sixth. Calcoen Fileche. I don't know how you pronounce that, but yeah, seventh. Farrell Strauss Hobbsy War Daddy after that early, really good lap. Unfortunately, couldn't go any better than that. But yeah, Waitsy with a sub 133.5 at 133.4. But yeah, very good. Of course, Club PR, Show Extra underneath that, and the rest of the drivers. And yeah, do apologise about the little error there. We did have quite a few people in the chat. Hopefully they fathom out that it isn't in that chat. And they tell everyone that it's this one now. We've switched over. Oh, it's a rainy track. It's a rainy track. Right, okay. That is interesting. I had a feeling that it might have been, because there was 1 or 2 of the lap times in comparison with some of the other places weren't as quick, I don't think. Some of the tier 3s. But yeah, that might be reflective of the setup for the actual race, potentially. Does it clear? Have people just gone with the same? I'm not too sure, actually. I'd have to check the times. Right, we've got 3 people back in. The chat, hopefully we get the viewers from earlier on back into this one. As I say, let everybody know that we've had to change the stream and we've had to restart the broadcast. And that's just because of it being useless. So, yeah, I'm spectator in the session, spectation menu. Enable, and as they go around 4 there, yeah, anyway, everyone in intermediates, as they go around their formation lap. So, at the front of the track, there is a hell of a lot of blue. The first 4 cars, the Red Bulls, the Alpines, and Ujibar, the other one, Williams. So, here they are. A rainy day. Will it stay rainy? I'm not sure. I haven't seen the forecast. I don't know, but it can, on this game, change. As we know, it's a dynamic weathering system, and it's only an approximate weather. It's not exact, so it won't stay like this all the time, although it can be the exact same weather all the way through. But yes, it can, in certain cases, get worse, but of course clear up as well. So we'll see if there is a mix-up later on. And you can see 1 or 2 of the drivers, of course, trying to get their acceleration right and braking right already. Get around that track a little bit more pacey. I think it's a bit wiser going around the track a little bit quicker on a formation lap. I never really understand why in other tiers they seem to want to go like very, very slow, like you're behind a safety car, but obviously the formation lap is sort of the whole point of getting the tyres warm and ready to race, and you know, just get a feel of the track's conditions and surface before you go, so it doesn't, a bit non-reflective when you crawl around, but these seem to have got it right. Waitsy's going to set them off. See how it goes down. So here we go, race 9. They're just getting on the grid now. Hell on. Nine. When it says disqualified from the session, for everyone who doesn't know, watching, it basically means that when you're pulling up to the line, you have to stop it yourself. Why does it keep telling me I'm on spectator mode? I know that. You have to stop it yourself. We're away. Lights are out. Everyone seems to have got a decent launch. The Alpine in the third there. Falcone seems like he's got a great launch on the outside. Got to stay on board. Ooh! And we'll get outside the car and try and have a little look at some of the action. You can see there that it looks like pretty much everyone's safe. There's a 1-2 contacts there, and there's a McLaren off the side of the track that looks like I'd show extra. And Not Jack is in bother. Not Jack has fallen like a stone, so there has been a crash somewhere on track, and he is no longer there. There's everyone side by side. As we see, that's a lovely view of that corner. We can see pretty much... Whoa! There's the second one, and Clerpiard goes flying into the wall. There is absolute chaos. Clerpiard is there. Not Jack has fell like a stone from 15th. Waitsy seems to have got away okay at the front of the pack. McConey and Steiny have seemed to have been able to keep their positions, and Farrell, with a worldy launch, has been managed to jump 4 positions by turn number 5. Knight and Griff seem to be having a little bit of a tussle further back as well as we jump down to Hobbsy. Everyone on the straight. We can see there that it's just going to be a pure bleed VRS down the opening straight to try and stay in front of your next competitor and rival. Probably track position early doors is quite important. Is anyone going to launch late out of these two behind? No, they brake quite fairly and safely. Everyone just needs to be clever on these first few laps and make sure that there's no more damage. Of course, damage limitation is something you could only ask Jack to maybe consider at the moment. Hobbsy, very, very close. There's a few cars right bumper to bumper, sort of, but you know what I mean by the expression. As Cross Lehman, Adi Shoe Extra in 12th and 13th have a little tussle. They're still side by side. Whoa, going around the speedy one as well. And Liam has had to yield. It was probably the right thing to do as well. Stay out of bother. He was never going to be able to keep the pace. Going into the follow-up left-hander as Waitsy set our fastest lap of the race and manages to get 7/10 in front of Steiny, who in turn also manages to get out of the DRS range. Not that we would be getting DRS as the weather stands, but it does seem to be getting a little bit lighter, and hopefully at some point we do get that opportunity. And Cross goes for the launch down the inside of the turn. Does he manage to make it stick? No. Shoe Extra manages to keep it well on the outside. Does quite well there, to be fair. They go side to side. Is that the 2 McLarens again back there? No, but it does look like... no, it's none of the McLarens. IT Griff got past Hobbsy, who was going on behind, as they are now single file, a little bit more single file, and it looks like these two at the front are going to have their own race. If McConey is struggling to get the tyres good enough to put his toe down. He's not a million miles away, actually. He's just took a little bit back off, and he's certainly got a little bit of space between him and the Williams of Farrell. Hobbsy and Knight side by side going down the turn as well. Looks like Hobbsy got the better of it in a great launch down the outside. It should be the fastest out of the two, and side by side is Spouse and Calcoen. Strauss, sorry, I'm getting his name wrong 3 or 4 times now. And Strauss has tucked in behind Calcoen. DeRoy just in behind him. Hobbsy and Knight going on behind there, side by side. You can see there he's managed to make it stick. Oh, a little bit of a wobble by I think it was Knight. Whoa! DeRoy tries to get right up the back of Strauss going into that. I think Strauss maybe broke a lot earlier than what he thought was going to happen, and unfortunately he's had to go really deep into the corner and allowed T. Griff to slip in there like swimwear at number 8. ID Extra. Waitsy sets another fastest lap with a 1:44.5. Is he going to go side by side down there? He has as well, by the way. That's an unbelievable take. Fair play to Liam Cross, who has done well. He's now going to have to defend quite a bit, as you can see the waving in front of him between. Jesus had a great little look of the tussle, and the again still tussling. The McLaren chooses to stay on the outside. Nearly got into his blind spot across there, and there was nearly contact, but there wasn't. So them two have completed the move, and yeah, Cross manages to get in front of Shoe Extra. There's a lot of lovely little battles. It's just hard to get away with there being this many cars on track. Just have a few clear laps with nothing ahead of you. I don't think it's going to be the case right the way through, really. Knight only 2/10 behind Hobbsy in the middle there, and probably the closest bit of action on track. Just sitting on board with Calcoen, because I can pretty much see everybody in front of him and what's going on in front of him. And then there's a little bit of a gap to Strauss of 1.4 before, as we skip through these, go backwards through the order, right back to each driver, and then we start having a little bit of a jump back for, oh dear, that doesn't look good for Tubbs going that speed, and he hasn't got a front wing. Tubbs is in bother. There's no damage on Clerpiard, but 25 seconds behind, but this is not great. Waitsy has Steiny in tow, 6/10 behind only. That keeps fluctuating a little bit. I think it was 5 or 6. And oh dear, what's going on here? They've all side by side. Some great little bit of action in the middle. Looks like, yeah, Knight has got by Hobbsy that's dropped. What is going on there? There's all sorts going off there. There's two little battles, and it looks like Knight's gone a little bit deep into that corner. He needs to be careful when he's breaking at the last, and he goes, whoa, there's nearly contact between him and Cross again. Cal Cohen setting the 144.5. He now goes for the fastest lap of the race. There's a long time to go for the fastest lap, so it's not really a big thing. Just thought I'd tell you anyway, because dramatic effect. Good stuff so far. It's not bad. There's people actually going for it. Sometimes it can be a track where it can be a little bit like a train in parts, because there's so many like quick fast sections that you can't really get side by side fast enough unless there's a mistake made in the car in front. And then of course it's free reins to do what you want. But yeah, great track. There's certainly plenty of overtaking points though. Let's not discount that either. We're just coming up to one now, and Griff and De Roy are trying to make use of it, both side by side going down the straight. You can see that Griff really wants that spot. He's got his ERS open. Is he going to bleed it all out? De Roy's also trying to use quite a bit of his. He's going to certainly try and brake later to get on the inside of that line, and did so. And there was contact. Maybe not so surprised there was, and it's took T Griff quite wide, but he's only lost that spot. It's not cost him anything behind. Cross still a little bit of a space behind them. Hobbs, he looks like he's just swapped places with Lol, not Jack, I think. Or is it LOI? It's LOI, not Jack, isn't it? Sorry. I'll just call him not Jack, who's gone up another spot again. He's on the inside of Hobbsy. It looks like there's a little bit of contact between the two. No, it isn't. It's Indian Jesus that we're on board with there. But Jack has managed to get through. Although, whoa, it looked like he just had a bit of a wobble going around that corner. Azar flicked off from him, but he's managed to keep the position anyway. Jumping up to Strauss, who's only 4 tenths behind the real DC. DC only dropping from 5th where he started from. Strauss up from 9th. And of course Farrell was back in 8th, and he's got himself up to 4. P123 has not yet changed, exactly the same as we set out, but Steiny has never really been any more than 5 tenths away from Waity for the majority of the first 5 laps. We're going to have a little look at that little fight up the front. We haven't given them much airtime, sort of letting them get away from the pack a little bit, but actually it's squeezed up a bit. McConey's just about to get inside the DRS range to Steiny, and whether these two at the front start holding each other up will only be a good thing for McConey, Farrell and Cal Cohen. Nearly contact. Tough corner, because if you take it badly and you take it well, the speed coming out and through there is hugely different. And if you happen to get someone who makes a mistake in front of you, there's not a great deal you can do because of the type of camber that you can basically throw the car to the side of it, because otherwise you're probably going to spin yourself, especially if you dare put any power down. So difficult, really difficult corner that. I think it's turn 13 before the corner. I'll make sure that... no, I didn't. Turn 11. Turn 11. Bad. Should have said 13. That was going to be wrong. Stanley can't quite find an opening. I think he had to back out that corner a little bit. He might have had a little bit of a loss. Still plenty of water on the floor, and it doesn't look like the rain has eased up completely, but it does look like it could. It certainly does look like it could. I think that's a fair shout there. It's not loads of dark clouds in the sky. The rain is thinning a little bit, but whether or not it actually dries up enough to get the slicks on, we are yet to see. Shoe Extra and Knight. Oh, there's a lot of them flying around each other there. Why is that? That's because someone went in the pits, and that was Shoe Extra. Has he had some damage in the pits? Not too sure. Let's see if he is... No, he's just going to whack a pair of hards on because he thinks that the weather's nice enough to be able to get away with it. Has anyone else done that? I don't think they have. No. But the bottom 3 have all made a stop, and that was maybe reflective of the people that didn't get out as well in the first lap, where we saw a little bit of chaos, but wasn't too bad. Steiny, is he going to utilise this opportunity? Does he want to get past Steiny, or is he quite happy to keep his ERS? He's dumped a bit of ERS there just to stay behind, and I think he might go for it. Is this the time? I tell you what, Waity must be dumping quite a bit of ERS to be keeping that straight. He's not. The straight line speed of Waity is clearly quite good, but you can see in the turning that he has got him near enough Steiny eventually. He's going to have him on toast, and he's gone down the inside. Now they're wheel to wheel. Is Steiny going to stay there? There's contact, and Steiny manages to straighten the car back up. That's very, very good driving by him. Great reactions, and he managed to make the right decision by just going straight and getting the car straight first, rather than continuing with the overtake, because it just wasn't on by then. But you can't half tell that Waitsy's got a more straight line setup on than Steiny, who can just throw it into the corners. But of course, when it gets to a straight, it's going to be hard to get past. And Waitsy dives into the pits. He's obviously not happy with something. Steiny all over the back of him. And Steiny then takes the outright lead of this race, and McConey chooses to stay out as well. Takes a decent turn, and he's only half a tenth away from the lead of this race. Cal Cohen and DC a little bit of a gap to Cal Cohen. You can see there that there's quite a lot of people coming into the pits and trying to make that gamble on the weather and thinking, right, at the moment, it's only going to get lighter. Let's stick some hards on now. A couple of laps' time, it'll be, race ready. I've already done the pit. The hards won't be too bad that I can't drive them in at least okay in the rain, in this weather. So, yeah, there's a few taking that gamble on the hards now, early doors, which tells us that this might be getting lighter. I can only presume the sun is going to shine eventually, and this is going to be a dry track at some stage. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Let's get back onto... I haven't had a look online for a while at the chat and see if there is anyone even watching them now, and they came back. So Raiden, DC for a podium, go on. And go Ward Daddy from SCDS, was Scott Dodds by any chance. So yes, this is good. DeRoy having a little bit of a look at DC, but ultimately the front three have got a decent gap to DC now. You can see them there just further up on track. It doesn't seem like that'd be 4 seconds away, but it is a slow part of the track, I suppose. Maybe it'll be more clearer when they're on the straight, and you'll see one that's probably about 400-500 yards up the road. Can we see the tyres? Yes, they're just on the end of the car. There's one at front right there, and there's one at the front left. Just a second. As we see DeRoy coming into the pits. Actually made myself laugh there. It's quite sad, isn't it? Everyone. Oh, there's a few on the mediums as well, so that it's clearly drying up quite a bit. McConey takes the outright lead and stays out one more lap on the intermediates. But is that one lap too many? There's still some drips coming down, so the car... I can't even speak. I can't speak. It can't be that wet, the track. Sorry, it can't be that dry. There's still some drizzle coming down, but it doesn't look too slow. There's a few stayed out. Farrell, is he going to be looking good? You can see there that they're all changing onto the mediums now, though. We'll just have to see. Do you know, I can't remember what the strap was for the other night. I think it was just medium hard. So, yeah, 4-star choosing to come out on softs. Is that just to see out a few more laps before he goes on to medium till the end? Maybe. That would make sense if he wants to see about 6-7 laps on those softs or something like that. And then he'll be able to see the rest of the race out on mediums. Maybe hards, but I think probably mediums. But yeah, there's not that great a gap, is there, considering where Farrell is, Cal Cohen is to these top. McConey, Knight, have they made the right decision by staying out that one extra on the intermediates? Are they losing time? DC goes flying past Strauss on the straight. Absolutely pinging. The race just got interesting, everyone. The race just got very interesting. There's stuff going on all over the place. I'm going to have to go back onto the chat. Anyone that's still watching, try and help us out on what the hell's going on here. There's people all over the place. T. Griff makes an attempt on Strauss as well. Strauss, unfortunately... Oh, Steiny's going to have a little go as well. He's on the hards. He's on the hards. He has got the actual best line here. Strauss just take his foot off the gas a little bit. Didn't quite go flat out in case the car drifted towards Steiny, so he wanted to stay on the inside of the turn. So fair play to him there, by the way, Strauss. And it was Farrell that got the fastest lap of the race, but Waitsy immediately after did. Of course, you can see them all coming in now. McConey, Knight, Liam, DeRoy. How costly is that going to be when they finally come back out of the pits? But Farrell is your race leader currently on 2 laps of the mediums, and he did come in early for those mediums, and that is what it's got him. The top spot in this race currently, Waitsy in 3rd, Cal Cohen up there. Yeah, McConey out the pits on the hards. Probably sees this. Does he see the hards to the end? 4th place. Watch this space. I think the DeRoy Griff and Real DC are probably going to catch him sooner rather than later, though. And they'll get that job done, I think, early. And then we'll just have to see whether or not the grip does him the rest of the... It does him the service that he needs. Just needs to look after those tyres, and hopefully he gets all the way. Strauss on the straight. He's obviously got round that final corner of turn 11 going into this straight a little bit better than Liam, and he's got it done. So Strauss back ahead of Liam. Strauss, of course, losing a couple of spots in all of that. But yeah, it looks like he's gained a couple back. Obviously, few people going to the pits, etc. Got a little jump on board with Waitsy, having a little look round the track. You can see we'll come off the tyres and go to stops. Everybody now on one Tobes. Oh dear, he's had 3, so he's obviously been running into a bit of bother. We'll keep it on the tyres now. Tobes setting the fastest lap of the race though. Go on, boy, with the 2 laps of softs. The comeback's on for Tobes, but certainly the fastest man on track currently. Waitsy, T-Griff goes quick on the mediums, fair play. Obviously put a decent lap in, and Waitsy absolutely yucks one in. And Cal Cohen goes for the undercut, and what a great bit of driving from these two. Just as it goes off, come on. There we go. Cal Cohen manages to get it back in front of Waitsy just before the S's. You can see them both wobbling about all over the shop. Come on, catch him up. There they are, both taking a little bit of that corner, and that's pretty much you're safe and secure really until you get to the straight, unless there's anything stupidly bad, or if you get a bad launch down that bank, and then yeah, it's this final corner. Can you make a launch on the inside, or are you better off just waiting behind, getting a good corner, getting a good launch from here? And then of course he's got a great run now, so what does he do? Does Waitsy bin it? Does he try and get rid of that ERS and make the job do? Well, Waitsy's got so much straight line speed, he didn't even need a jot of ERS. He just needs to get in front of Cal Cohen. That's amazing. He's clearly got quite a bit. And then that said, Cal Cohen's maybe harvesting there because he's kept 60% of his ERS, and so he's got plenty of power to get back fast if he needs to. Farrell as well is doing the same thing. So these three doing a decent race at the front and playing quite cleverly. DeRoy behind there has obviously bled a little bit to try and catch up, but yeah, still all eyes on McCorney and the mediums behind. And hang on, Waitsy's just been in a bit of bother, and maybe we've just seen the first downside of the straight line speed, and that he's just been in a bit of bother on the turn. And what is going on? He's staying wide. He's almost too respectful for all the cars coming in behind him, but he has stayed off their line, and he's going to pull round into the pits. And unfortunately for Waitsy, he is going to go from P2 down to wherever he ends up coming out. But at least he'll probably be able to see the rest of the race out. But that does give a bit of breathing space for Farrell, and he'll be rather happy with that. Cal Cohen as well has moved into 2. DeRoy and McCorney is your top 4. T. Griff has squeezed it a little bit. That's not bad driving by him. He's on the mediums. Maybe he's catching McCorney as sort of predicted he would to some degree. Real DC as well. Steiny back up there a little bit. Obviously, was Steiny one of the ones that took the extra lap with the intermediates? I can't remember. I know McCorney definitely was, but they seem to be back up there anyway. Not Jack has a penalty, oh dear, for corner cutting. And then, and he's been in bother there, he's just been off track as well. So if he doesn't get another warning, he might get that back if that wasn't his fault, why he's gone off track, or if it's just been a spin that's pushed him over the corner of something. It wasn't deemed to be a corner cut, something like that. McCorney has just lost a spot to T-Griff, and I missed it. Sorry. Sorry about that. Let's stay on board with McCorney just a sec, see whether or not he has another little go at T-Griff. Obviously, there's the opening straight that he's got a chance on if he can stay close. T-Griff setting some decent time here. But as I say, you would expect that T-Griff's got enough grip, having only the 3 laps, an extra lap of the hards to get into sort of perfect, running temperatures and things as well. So yeah, it was always going to probably be, and you can see there he is opening a little bit of a gap. Knight, the next to get the 3-second time penalty. How far's DC? He's only a little bit behind and gets inside the RS, and he can push a little bit onto McCorney now. But as long as McCorney stays close enough to T-Griff, of course he can borrow that DRS off him as well, every now and again as they come to the zones. So the Alpine, the medium, the hard between the mediums. Steiny also up there. And look at Waitsy all the way down. He's obviously had to go into the pits, and he's come out on fresh hards. It's going to see him the rest of the race. What can he do from down there? What can he do from down there? We'll see. There's a question and a statement. all steady away. Seems to be a little bit of an open track now. I think there's quite a lot of them will be happier with that. I'm certainly happy with that normally. I hate being side to side for too long. I love little battles, but I hate a full race where you never get the opportunity to just get on the race line and start putting some pace down, some true laps down. Sometimes with these races, because the field's tightly compact and loads of places to get past, sometimes, oh, it was nearly contact. Sometimes it can be a bit, too much, where you're just constantly looking in your rears and looking to your side and looking for arrows and making sure you're not hitting anybody. Having eyes on your peripheral just takes that little bit of concentration away from just purely sticking to the racing line. Steiny managing to stay 3/10 behind, though being on the hards. It looks like Knight got past Steiny though, so the mediums doing what the mediums were going to be doing, which is taking the hards, but obviously they're not seeking too far behind. The mediums are going to be in a little bit of bother later on if they're going to try and go all the way at the end. Seems they've already had 5 laps from lap 7, unless they all dive in for some softs later on maybe to see the race out. Softs you can maybe get, I don't know how many you can get on softs. I think it's like 6 to 8 maybe at prime. I might be wrong there. I've been wrong before. Just not always. Right, I can take a breather for a second, I think. Looking on track now, there's nobody specifically making a dart on anyone. I'll go and have a little look through other bits. There's your current gaps between from the leader. So you can see that even 10th place is 15 seconds back. That's not terrible for 13 laps in. But, yeah, it's a second a lap averaged off, isn't it, that you're starting to drop the 8th and beyond. So I'll put that back to intervals so we know where the action is and who's on what. 2-3 second time penalties, as you can see, for Knight and Jack, Jack has got Pascal Pierre. Oh, that's because he's in a pit. Is he going to go for this? In the background, we're just having a little watch of Hobbsy in front of War Daddy. I don't know if War Daddy means war as in fighting at war, or War Daddy is in my dad, but with a Newcastle accent. What's made you think? T. Griff gets past DeRoy, and what's just happened to DeRoy? Oh no, he's in bother. DeRoy has span at the last corner and he has dropped like a stone as well, and I thought there was quite a few people getting past him for this to just be him popping into the pits, but yeah, oh, that's unfortunate. Back on the tyres and back on the action. We'll have a look at McConey just going through the S's. I think that there's going to be more towards the end, of course. I think there's going to be more 3-second time penalties. Bang! As if, like clockwork, Stanley bangs in the one as well, probably coming through the S's actually, if he's behind. Was it? Oh yeah, ooh, Stanley! Oh, good catch. He's obviously having a little bit of a wobble. Tyres might be warm. Steady on you. So he's managed to stay in 8th anyway, but he might be pushing a little bit too hard on these hards to try and keep up with the mediums. Everybody is partial to that, by the way, and everyone's a liar if you've said that you haven't done that, where you've pushed a little bit too hard and really you're trying to keep up with a tyre that you shouldn't be able to keep up with. When your medium's trying to keep up with softs or hards trying to keep up with mediums, it's very easy to really push. But if you're on the same amount of laps and it's within the sort of prime areas, it shouldn't be the case. These side by side, he's got it done. Did he just get it done? I think Cross got past Steiny there. And there's another one just in behind. Steiny just needs to be careful. The softs of 4-star though. I can't see the tyre deck. That would be really nice to look at, but you can see there's some grain on it. But I don't know how many laps he's going to get out of these softs. But ultimately, he gets to stick the mediums on and see himself out to the rest of the race, I would imagine. Farrell opening out a decent lead here after that early pit compared to some of the others. You can see the 7s and the 6s beneath him. When they went in the pits, he went in early doors and took a quick pit to get himself out onto these mediums. Of course, there was a few people taking gambles as well. There was 1 or 2 that went onto the hards very early when there was still a few trickles of rain just to see whether or not they could beat it. 1 or 2 probably regretting that decision, to be honest. 1 or 2 will be thankful for it as well. McConey, after that, had managed to keep himself up in 4ths on those hards, despite me saying that he was going to get taken early. He's done well because I think there was someone else beneath him at the time. It wasn't DC directly behind him. I don't. Oh yes, it was. Yeah, it was. So yeah, DC hasn't managed to get by. So that means McConaughey must be setting some unbelievable laps in those hards. I don't think the mediums would have been falling off already. Well, definitely not. Anyway, not 7 or 8 laps. Doing plenty more than that. Club PR fastest on the track in the on hards with a 1:37.3. Maybe smashed in a little bit of ERS on that straight and got a bit of a pull, something like that. It certainly gave you a hell of a lot of tenths. Corny. Smooth as you like. Probably shows you why he did so well last week. War Daddy. He's gone past. Is that 4-star in bother? No, he's in the pit. That's fine. That's fine. Just seen a couple of them go past him as well. There is a good split now. So Farrell is well ahead. He has got himself 3.2 seconds ahead of Cal Cohen in second place, who is in turn 5 seconds clear. Knight is in bother because I've just seen him drop 2 spots. What happened there? Knight is still off the track. He has definitely ran into problems, and War Daddy got past. ID Shoe Extra got past. Running forward, yeah, Hobbsy got past. And DeRoy is in P9 behind Steiny, who, after that little bit of a problem, looks like he's recovered well, and he's now back into 8th and only 4 tenths behind. And is he going to have a little go? Is he going to get there in time? Probably not before this turn. Or is he? It doesn't look like Liam's putting up much of a fight there. And there's a little bit of a lock-up, and there's a little bit of contact. Oh, they've locked wheels. Steady. Let's go AT. The shout from Nathan in the chat. Good evening, Nathan. Some good battles out on track so far, though. There's been some great driving as well. Some couple of bits of side-by-side stuff, which is always nice. Not too many bits of contact. We'll see after the race in the steward's office about that. Turn 1 and lap 1, there was certainly a bit of contact on the track as we saw 2 cars going for the pit, and we nearly saw contact between, I think it was Steiny, but the side-by-side, that's DeRoy. He's on the inside. Is he going to make it stick? And that's the McLaren on the outside, and that was nearly an unsafe return onto the track by the McLaren, who was clearly in bother. I don't know if that was Tobes back there, or, yeah, it must have been. And that's War Daddy also in the pit. So yeah, a few of them are coming around to pop the mediums on the hard runners to see the rest of the race out for these 11-12 laps left of racing. Great little fight in between here. Steiny still with DeRoy and Cross just in front of him. Let's have a little look at McConaughey. Is he going to have a little look here? McConaughey currently in 4th position. Have the tyres started to overtake themselves, where the hards are more preferable than the mediums. After 8 laps? Still probably not, you know. That might just be a bit of a testament to McConaughey's driving. Clearly doing a good job. Thanks, Dave. Steiny, 2 tenths. The swinging right-handers. And round the final turn, T20, and nearly such a late break that for Steiny to try and get nice and close, but that, I think that's cost him, if anything, to get past Cross on the straight, dropping him to half a second back behind. But this is the main place of action on the track. 11 people watching. Good evening, everyone. Just seeing Steiny flying round turn 2 into the S's, turn 3, 4 and 5 before that sweeping right-hander of turn 6. And then sharp turn, brake early and keep pace and momentum through turn 7. And then that's it's 8 and 9 that can be quite tricky to get down on the power with it being uphill. Little kink of turn 10 that's hardly a turn really, you sort of flat out through that. And then turn down into turn 11, hard braking and then you sort of get around the corner nice and steadily because you need to be very, very delicate on the throttle before the long straight, and you can see them all in a row. And usually when they're all in a row like that, it's very difficult to get by. You've obviously seen one or two people that have got unbelievably fast setups on the straight. I think Waitsy showed that, was it, before Waitsy? Seemed to be so fast on the straight, it's unbelievable. Didn't even need CRS to sort of keep ahead. And Knight and Indian Jesus have just swapped places. That's the Haas, just going past